Good evening and welcome to Daily Red Devil for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. And as always, we're back with another massive show to bring you guys this evening. But before we jump into that, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to 20k subscribers. We're very, very close now. So please do make sure you subscribe. Doesn't cost any money. It's completely free. And let's get straight on into the show. So on the show this evening, we're going to be talking about the dressing room turning toxic. We've got more leaks coming out of the dressing room, more players through their agents, through journalists, however it might be, apparently calling out the manager and all of the rest of that stuff, which we will talk about in the show. And the toxicity is at a really bad point, apparently. We'll talk about that. We're also going to be talking about the new director of football. There is talks that Manchester United are looking at a new director of football. We'll be giving you the names of those two people. There's a couple of different names being floating around. Obviously, we spoke a bit about Paul Mitchell earlier on today, who obviously used to be at Monaco. There is now another person who is in the running for this. We will, of course, discuss whether we think this will actually happen or whether we think this is just spin from the Glazers to try and silence the fans. We all know that John Murtagh and Richard Arnold have not done their job so far. They've both been inadequate for me. If that, I don't think they've been any better than Ed Woodward, to be honest. I think they've been as bad, if not worse. So we will talk about that. And as always, I do look forward to seeing what you guys have to say in the comment section, in the live chat. So do get in the comment section. Let me know what you're thinking and let's jump straight on into it. So let's start off the show with a story coming out this afternoon about Erik ten Hag. The story goes as follows. It says, Erik ten Hag is taking a more soft approach to try and rescue Manchester United. He feels confidence amongst his players is so low that he has become reluctant to show his anger in the dressing room for fear of doing more damage to morale. I mean, you know what? I think that's absolutely embarrassing, to be honest. I think it's so embarrassing that these players have such frail egos that they feel like they can't be criticised. I mean, it's ridiculous, isn't it? I get it. We're at a low point. But Erik ten Hag needs to get in that dressing room and absolutely destroy those players. He really, really does. He needs to tell them what all of us fans are thinking, that it's not acceptable to get beaten by Crystal Palace. It's not acceptable to, to have the lead against Galatasaray, to have your new 20-year-old striker score 2 goals on his debut and then to just completely throw it away. Like I saw someone posting on Twitter the other day, right? And in the last, I think it's 5 or 6 games, we've gone ahead and then within about 2 or 3 minutes we concede. It happened against Arsenal, happened against obviously Galatasaray, it happened against who else did it happen against? A couple of other teams. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's happened on multiple occasions now. We get the goal and then 2 minutes later we fall apart and they score. It happened against Bayern Munich as well. It's an absolute joke. It really, really is. And it needs to be sorted. And I get it. Morale is low, but we can't just keep treating these players like they're playing well. We've got to give them an absolute grilling. I know that the fans in the stadium are. I know the fans are booing them, which I think is fair because I don't think they're putting in much effort. I really, really don't. And I just hope that Erik ten Hag has the hunger to really drill into these players. You know, last season he was applauded for his approach after that 4-0 defeat to Brentford, where after the game he made all the players run 10 kilometres. I get that you can't do that every single match because you'd just literally be tiring your players out, but there has to be some other way to motivate them. There has to be some other way for him to relate to them. So it's not like all the blame is on them. You know, it's like, we're together, we're going to do this. I don't know what it could be. I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but I think he needs to get a bit creative and a bit inventive here because otherwise, as we're going to talk about in a minute, the dressing room will turn on him. And that could happen if, the results keep going as they are. I just want to do one really quick bit of positivity because I know people are feeling a bit miserable at the moment, but Rasmus Højlund has officially been included in the Champions League Team of the Week. He scored an 8.5 out of 10. That was what he was rated. 8.5 out of 10 for Rasmus Højlund. He's in the Champions League Team of the Week. So big up to Rasmus Højlund. And as I just said, if anything, it makes the rest of the team look so bad, right? You've just signed this guy from Atalanta. He scores a goal against Bayern. He gets 2 goals against Galatasaray in his first 2 Champions League matches. And then we throw the game away. It's an absolute joke, but fair play to Rasmus Højlund for getting included in the Team of the Week. So big ups to him. And hopefully he comes on to become the player that we all expect him to be because he's what's keeping me sane at the moment. I think he's an unbelievable player. I think Rasmus Højlund in that game against Galatasaray made me so excited for the future. And it made me just think, right, that we need a whole new spine of a team almost, don't we? Rasmus Højlund is here for the future. He is Manchester United for the years to come. Hannibal is. Amad Diallo could be. Pellistri could be. Kobe Mainoo could be. Dan Gore could be. I don't think a lot of the players we have at the moment are for the next 1 or 2 years, let alone the future. You know, you look at people like Casemiro, he's 31 years of age. You look at Varane, 31 years of age, injury prone. You look at Bruno Fernandes, 29, turning 30 this year. whether or not they're good or not, whether or not they're good players or not is up for you to decide. But the core, spine of our team are all around 30 years of age now, and we need to start bringing through these new younger players. I know we've got people like Anthony, I know we've got people like Sancho who are a little bit younger, but generally a lot of our players in those more attacking positions are quite a lot younger. We have Rasmus Højlund, but other than that, it's a lot of older people, isn't it? The Brunos, the Casemiros. I mean, Amrabat's, I think, 27. That's not too bad. We're not as youthful as I think some of us think we are. But let me know what you guys think about that. And let's move on to the next story. Let's talk a little bit about, just a quick one, if anybody's interested in this, Harry Maguire and Marcus Rashford have just been called up to the England national team. Now, I think that's questionable. I think both of them being called up is very questionable. I really, really do. Now, I know this isn't an England national team channel, but obviously they are our players, so I do think it's relevant. I don't understand how Marcus Rashford's got in that team. I think it's a joke, to be honest. I don't understand how Harry Maguire's got in the England team. It's a joke. He's barely played any football. The football that Rashford's played has been very poor. But that's Gareth Southgate for you, isn't it? He just picks... I don't know why he picks players like that when they're in that form, but we'll never know. So they have been called up. Onana has also been called up for Cameroon. Now, I know this is a hot topic at the moment because people are wondering whether he's going to go to the Africa Cup of Nations in January. Some of you are probably hoping he goes to that competition, realistically, aren't you? Because he hasn't been very good so far. A lot of you want Altay Bayindir to start. Now, the story coming out this afternoon about Onana, this is coming from Rob Dawson, who reports for ESPN. Rob Dawson is saying that Andre Onana is reluctant to take time away from Manchester United to play for Cameroon at the Africa Cup of Nations in January after a difficult start to his career at Old Trafford. So it looks like he might not actually go because he wants to focus on improving his career at Manchester United so far. I respect that, to be honest. I do. He's only been here for 10 games. I've not completely written him off at this point. Obviously, his start has been absolutely awful, let's be fair. I'd say it's been the worst start out of any goalkeeper we've ever had. Yes, David De Gea made a few mistakes when he first joined Manchester United, but Onana's been absolutely terrible, let's be honest. So I respect him if he doesn't go to Africa Cup of Nations. I think that he should stay in Manchester. I think he should continue playing with our team. He should keep training and hopefully improving, because going off to the Africa Cup of Nations, yes, I get it. It's a dream for most players to play for their country, but he's just come to Manchester United for the best part of £50 million, and he's been absolutely terrible. And then what, you're telling me in 2 months' time he's going to go off to the Africa Cup of Nations for 6 weeks? I mean, it's not really a great look, is it, for him? But if he'd just been absolutely world-class and unbelievable, we'd obviously say it's a massive loss, but I understand. You want to go play for your national team, I get it, and we'll try and make do without you. But to have been this awful, he has to come in and hopefully try and spend that time improving. But let me know what you think about that. I'm sure some of you in the chat will be upset that he's potentially not going to go to Africa Cup of Nations, because I know a load of you want to see Altay Bayindir, which I get it. I want to see him as well. I think he's a special, I wouldn't say he's a special goalkeeper, but from what I've heard of people from, people who watch Turkish League football, they've said that Altay Bayindir is a really good goalkeeper. And I definitely think he deserved the chance against Galatasaray. But it is what it is, isn't it? Let's see what people are saying in the chat really quickly then. We've got loads of you here tonight, which is obviously amazing. Thank you so much to everybody who is joining us. Snowcat says the lack of hunger is spread around the club. Yes, I agree. Fred says I can't see Onana getting any better. It's a confidence thing with Onana. You can tell his confidence is at rock bottom. The fact that he's kicking the ball long every time he gets it just sums it up for me. The fact that he's too scared to play short balls, which is what we brought him in for, just sums it up for me. He's clearly in an absolute mess. And it is what it is, isn't it? We'll just have to wait and see what happens, won't we, with Onana? I obviously hope that he turns a corner and things get better, but yeah, we're only 10 games in, so I'm not going to pass judgment at this point. Saf says David De Gea's start was just as bad as Onana in the first few games. Be patient. Yeah, that's a fair point. It's a fair point. I just think that a lot of people in the fan base weren't that bothered about David De Gea going. I had no issue with David De Gea going. Sometimes I get things right, sometimes I get things wrong. But for me, I think David De Gea staying for one more season would have made sense. But it's done now. There's nothing we can do about that. So right, Onana looks like he won't be going to Africa Cup of Nations. So that's one thing. Let's move on to the next story, though. Let's talk a little bit about... Where are we this evening? There's lots to get into today. There's lots and lots of news coming out, as always. So let's talk a little bit about this director of football story. So this is coming out from 2 or 3 different journalists this afternoon. And apparently Manchester United are in talks to bring in Atletico Madrid sporting director Andrea Berta. It says they do face competition from Spurs and PSG, apparently. Now, we found a bit of a deep dive into this. What's he called? His name is Andrea Berta, the director of football at Atletico Madrid. So the person who runs the MUFC MPB Twitter account, just giving them the credit, has put together this tweet highlighting all of the players that he has signed for Atletico Madrid over the years. So I'm going to run through that with you really, really quickly, and we can then decide as a community whether we think that this guy is a good fit. So let's start from the beginning. He brought in Jose Jimenez, who's obviously the centre-back, for £890,000, one of the best centre-backs in La Liga. He brought in David Villa for only £1.8 million. This is all earlier on in their careers, right? So this is, he found these people. He brought on Antoine Griezmann from Real Sociedad for £48 million before, obviously, he turned into a superstar. He brought in Jano Oblak from Benfica for £14 million. Again, an unbelievable player. He brought in Carrasco from Monaco for £13 million. Again, an unbelievable player. He brought in Diogo Jota for only $6.3 million. Again, amazing signing. Rodri, he brought in from Villarreal. Again, incredible signing. Thomas Lemar, Joao Felix, Marcus Llorente, Alvaro Morata, Rodrigo. He's identified some really talented players over his time at Atletico Madrid. So I definitely think he would be an interesting person to explore. I know the other trendy name at the moment is Paul Mitchell. At the end of the day, right, there's a few people who it could be. It could be Ralph Ragnick, Paul Mitchell, this Atletico Madrid person. I mean, maybe even look at the director of football at Brighton. I mean, he's been doing an unbelievable job, hasn't he? There is plenty of different options out there. Let me know in the live chat and in the comment section, who is your predicted, or who do you want to be the director of football, and how important do you think that is for Manchester United's development? For me, I think it's incredibly important. I really, really do. John says, is this Sir Jim Ratcliffe's new director of football? I hope not. No. The story this morning was that Sir Jim Ratcliffe wanted to bring in Paul Mitchell, but the story this afternoon is not directly related to Sir Jim Ratcliffe. This is more directly related to Manchester United in general, that their number one target is Andrea Berta, the Atletico Madrid sporting director. Let me know what you think about him. Maybe there's some of you who follow Spanish football more than me who can give a bit more of an insight into him, and let me know what your thoughts are. I'm always interested to see what you guys have to say. And everyone who's just joined in the last couple of minutes, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe. We're only 50 subscribers away from 19,800. We're getting so close to the 20k mark now, guys. So let's see how quickly we can hit that. Please do like, please do subscribe, and get involved in the community. Right, let's move on to the next story, though, really, really quickly. And this is a big one. It's coming out about Jadon Sancho. This story is coming out from multiple different journalists in the UK this afternoon, and they are reporting that Jadon Sancho wants to rejoin Borussia Dortmund in January. We had Plettigol, obviously Florian Pletterberg on Twitter, the Sky Sports German journalist, also talking about this yesterday, saying that Jadon has been in regular contact with the Borussia Dortmund manager over a move in January. We spoke about this on the show this morning. I just don't understand how Manchester United can do this deal and make it work for us. Like, they're not going to pay him the 375 grand a week. And I want to clear him off the wages. I don't want to send him off to Dortmund, be seeing constant clips of him scoring goals and playing well for Dortmund while we're still paying his wages. I just think that's ridiculous, because I bet you any money, right, he'll go to Dortmund and he'll start looking good again. And people in the chat will say, oh, well, if that happens, maybe it will increase his value. We're still going to be in the same situation because no one's going to want to pay his wages, even if he starts banging in goals, right? Do you reckon any club in world football will give him 375 grand a week? I don't think so, other than in Saudi. So for me, we need to knock on the door of the Saudi clubs. We need to try and get this one over the line, and we need to push him out there in January. That's what has to happen, because loaning him to Dortmund is a complete waste of everybody's time, if you ask me. But let me know what you guys think. Let's see what people are saying in the chat then. So Gary says we should get Ralph Ragnick back. Amy says Atletico Madrid is awesome. They're great at growing players and very well liked in the United States. Okay. Mumra says this guy sounds already far better than Murta, but Richard Arnold also must be sacked. Yeah, I agree. I mean, when you look at this Atletico Madrid guy's CV so far, like, he's brought in some really good players. He's identified, who did I say? Griezmann, David Villa, Rodri before he went to Manchester City, etc., etc. So he definitely has piqued my attention. Rare says, I hope Ragnick will come back if the owners will change. He is top. Milas says Ralf Rangnick is Austrian manager and he's not coming back after how United treated him. That's kind of fair. What else have we got? Richie Club Sport says new director of football and Ineos, perfect combination for Manchester United going forward. Fair enough. Milas says they put Ralph as manager, didn't give him any significant signings or back him up. Yeah, I hear you. Irvin says, why are the Glazers suddenly starting to change things around at the club when they are supposed to be up for sale? New deals, new director of football. Yeah, it does raise question marks, doesn't it? Now, obviously, these stories that are coming out don't directly say that it's the Glazers who are doing this. So it could be that the club has agreed a deal with one of the buyers, potentially. Okay, this is hypothetical. And maybe that these stories are being leaked through that. Obviously, we don't know at this point. There's two ways this can go, right? Either they sell to Sir Jim Ratcliffe, and I think any of these directors of football could be realistic. Paul Mitchell, Andrea Berta from Atletico, Ralf Rangnick, or they sell to Sheikh Jassim, and those people could also be realistic. You know, there's no way of really telling who these stories are linked to at this point. I know this morning it was Paul Mitchell was linked to Sir Jim Ratcliffe, but I could equally see Paul Mitchell coming in under Sheikh Jassim. You know, I don't think it really makes any difference. But let me know what you guys have to say. I wanted to touch on this really, really quickly, right? Zlatan Ibrahimovic has been speaking about the Glazers. He's just done an interview with Piers Morgan. I don't know why he's done that personally. Like, why is Zlatan doing an interview with Piers Morgan? Anyway, I guess Ronaldo paved the way now. All of these football players think that doing an interview with Piers Morgan is a good thing. I mean, it's embarrassing. But so Zlatan Ibrahimovic has been talking about the Glazers with Piers Morgan. And Zlatan has says, I think now in Manchester United, I don't know, there are some kind of demonstrations about the owners to sell. But just a reminder, the owners are investing. Excuse me, Zlatan. The owners are not investing. The owners are spending our money that we've earned ourselves as a football club on players. That's not investing. The owners, you can't put the words, the owners are investing in a sentence unless you actually understand what's going on here. The owners investing our profits isn't investing. That isn't. That's us spending our profit that we've earned. It's not like they're using their own money. He then goes on to say, it is not like they're not investing because they brought in many players for a high amount of money. So I think it's a little bit wrong saying that they're not doing what the fans expect them to do. I don't know what the real reason is behind everything. I mean, what is Zlatan playing at? I mean, is he bitter that Manchester United let him go? I don't know. I think that's a bit of a bad take from Zlatan personally. How can you put in a sentence that the Glazers are investing in Manchester United? That is the biggest load of rubbish I've ever seen. Anybody who knows anything about Manchester United will know that they haven't spent a single penny on players since we've been here. Since they've been here, they've just spent our own money. Somebody's saying that Roberto De Zerbi is getting embarrassed. Yeah, I mean, Brighton are losing 2-0 to Marseille in the Europa League. Do people still want De Zerbi? He just got banged 6-1 by Aston Villa. He lost to who was it? AEK Athens last week. He's now losing to Marseille. He's probably going to get sacked at this rate. Is that not 3 losses in a row? I think it is, isn't it? Loses to Athens, then gets battered by Aston Villa, and now's 2-0 down after 30 minutes to Marseille. De Zerbi could be getting sacked at this rate. De Zerbi could be getting sacked. Let's see what else people are saying in the chat this afternoon, or this evening even. Mathian says, the only thing I don't like about my club Manchester United is they disrespect players. I hear you. Amy says Brighton should be sacked. Lumen says, Kieran, have they fixed the roof? Mate, they haven't fixed the roof. I've seen videos from people at the game against Crystal Palace on Saturday, right? They're sat underneath the roof completely, and they're completely drenched. I mean, it's embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. Right, let's move on to something else, though. Where are we? Let's see what else we have planned for the show. Yeah, so I think Zlatan Ibrahimovic's take is a little bit of a poor one, to be honest. He clearly doesn't understand how the Manchester United fans are feeling. He clearly hasn't really done his research, and I guess why would he? He's not a Manchester United fan. He played here for what, 1 year, 2 years. So there is a bit of a story coming out about the takeover. This is coming from Miguel Delaney, who some of you like, some of you don't like. He's the chief football writer for The Independent in the UK. And he is reporting this afternoon that Joel and Avram Glazer still aren't ready to sell Manchester United. I mean, come on, really? Really? Why? Absolute joke. And he also has been talking about the director of football situation. He says, officials at other clubs have been privately dismissive of Manchester United's director of football, John Murtough, Some have even questioned whether he would get such a job elsewhere and if the job is too big for him. It's felt he doesn't have the contact base of some of his equivalents. I mean, that's pretty obvious, isn't it? We know that John Murtough and Richard Arnold are not suitable for the job, really, are they, at all? So let's talk a little bit about this, the dressing room toxic bit. So there's two parts to this story, okay? The first story is this. It says the atmosphere inside the Manchester United dressing room and among the general staff is now toxic. So that's probably where this story came earlier on today, where, you know, people saying that Erik ten Hag is having to tread very carefully around the players because the relationship is at rock bottom. The story then goes on to say that while some players consider Erik ten Hag's stance on Jadon Sancho completely fair, the winger still has friends in the squad and they feel that he has been treated harshly. Can they really do that as an excuse, right? To say, oh, we're upset that Jadon's not being played. We're upset that he's being treated like this. Your job is to go and play football. I don't care whether you're upset or not. Go on that pitch, earn the money that you're being paid. You're all being paid ridiculous amounts of money. Most of you are bang average. You're being paid way more than you're supposed to be. I don't care whether you think Jadon Sancho's been handled poorly. That's not your decision to make, is it? Go out there, make all of those fans who pay all the money to go and see you and support you proud, and stop complaining. Like, it's embarrassing. It really, really is. And it's just the same old stuff over and over again, you know? Toxicity being thrown around, dressing room leaks. It happens with every single manager, and we all know how this ends up. And we have to break that cycle. It always ends up with the players getting the manager sacked. It happened under Ollie. It happened under Ragnick. It happened under Mourinho. Every single manager who's been sacked over the last 10 years, really, it's been because the players have down tools. And then the results start turning absolutely terrible. The pressure amounts and the manager gets sacked. It's the same old thing over and over and over again. These players think they're better than they are. They think they're these celebrities who are untouchable. You know, their ego is more important than anything else. It isn't. The most important thing is you going on that pitch and playing the highest level of football that you can, working at 110% every single game, not throwing your hands up in the air when you misplace a pass and trying to blame it on other players. You know, the list goes on and on and on. It's just embarrassing, isn't it? It really, really is. Richie says, Sancho is the problem. I said that weeks ago. His buddies are Rashford and Wan-Bissaka. I just don't think it's an excuse. I really don't. Like, it's just embarrassing, isn't it? It really, really is. Really, really embarrassing. Joe says we have a bunch of spoiled children in our squad, not grown men. 100%. They're overpaid, spoiled children who all think they're better than they are. When you actually look at our team, right, especially in the attacking areas, I would rather probably have Matoma at this point than... I would probably... So who've Brighton got? Matoma, Evan Ferguson. Like, they would get in our team immediately, both of them. I would say that Son would get in our team immediately. You know, you look at Arsenal's team, Saka, Martinelli, they would all get in our team immediately. Like, everyone above us in the table has got a better team than us by way of the players and by way of their effort. So, yeah, it is embarrassing, isn't it? See what else people are saying. All right, let's move on to some other stories, though. I'll come back to the chat in a minute. I just want to reinforce as well. So the official message from the club at the moment is that Erik ten Hag's job's safe. No matter what comes out from the dressing room, no matter whether the players are turning toxic and all the rest of it, it seems like at this moment in time, Manchester United understand the cycle that we're all talking about in this chat this evening. And they understand that they need to break the cycle and they need to stop this player power. This is where change can happen. If we get rid of Erik ten Hag and we let all of these players who think they're better than they are win again, the same thing will happen in 18 months' time. We'll bring in a new manager. They'll get some okay results, and then in a year's time, we'll sack them. And it will just be rinse, repeat over and over and over again. It's the way it goes. Daniel says, do you think we'll get a director of football? If we get the new owners, I think we'll 100% get a director of football. But at this moment in time, I think it's hard to predict, isn't it? Like, we'll have to wait and see what happens. Hopefully we do. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. And just a quick one as well. Casemiro has been named officially Manchester United's Player of the Month for September. So fair play to Casemiro. He's been he's been our best player this month, hasn't he, really? Across all competitions. He's been really, really good. So fair play to Casemiro. Yeah, he is world class, isn't he? And you know what they say. You know, even if he might have a bad game now and again, he is world class. He is. Just a quick one on Kobbie Mainoo as well. We are expecting Kobbie Mainoo to be back on the pitch, available for selection after the international break. Obviously, we play Brentford on Saturday, and then we don't have a game for 2 more weeks. And after that, we're expecting Kobbie Mainoo to be available. Whether he'll get in the team or not, I probably doubt it, to be honest with you, if we've got Amrabat back. Maybe you put Amrabat at left back and Kobbie Mainoo in the midfield alongside Casemiro. That could be interesting to try. But yeah, whether or not Erik ten Hag will throw him into the team straight away after being injured for, 2 or 3 months, I'm not entirely sure, but we'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. Let me know what your thoughts are. Would you throw Kobbie Mainoo straight into that team, or would you slowly bring him back? Let me know what you guys think. And I'm going to wrap the show up here, guys. Thank you so much to everyone who has joined us this evening. I will, of course, be back live tomorrow morning for your daily, regular morning show with all of the news. If anything breaks between then and now, you know we will go live. Please do make sure to smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel if you are new. As you know, we're on the road to 20k subscribers. We're getting closer and closer by the day. So please do subscribe, hit the notification bell. This has been Daily Red Devil, and I'll speak to you all a bit later.